Iran has retrieved some information, together with a portion of cockpit conversations, from the Ukrainian jetliner by accident downed by the Revolutionary Guard forces in January, killing all 176 individuals on board, an Iranian official mentioned Sunday. That's in keeping with a report on the website of Iran's Civil Aviation Group, which described the official's remarks as a part of the ultimate report that Tehran plans to difficulty on the shootdown of Ukraine Worldwide Airways Flight 752. The event comes months after the January 8 crash close to Tehran. Iranian authorities had initially denied duty, solely altering course days later, after Western nations offered in-depth proof that Iran had shot down the airplane. The shootdown occurred the identical nighttime Iran launched a ballistic missile assault concentrating on U.S. troopers in Iraq, its response to the American drone strike that killed Guard General Qassem Soleimani in Baghdad on January 3. On the time, Iranian troops had been bracing for a U.S. counterstrike and seemed to have mistaken the airplane for a missile. Iran, nevertheless, has not acknowledged that, solely saying that after the ballistic missile assault, its air protection was sufficiently alert and had allowed beforehand scheduled air visitors to renew, a reference to the Ukrainian airplane being allowed to take off from Tehran. The Ukrainian airplane was apparently focused by two missiles. The airplane had simply taken off from Tehran's Imam Khomeini Worldwide Airport when the primary missile exploded, presumably damaging its radio tools. The second missile possible instantly struck the plane, as movies from that nighttime present the airplane exploding right into a ball of fireplace earlier than crashing right into a playground and farmland on the outskirts of Tehran. For days after the crash, Iranian investigators combed the positioning, sifting via the particles of the airplane. The pinnacle of Iran's Civil Aviation Group, Captain Taraj Dagani Zangena, mentioned on Sunday that the Ukrainian passenger airplane's black containers have solely 19 seconds of dialogue following the primary explosion, although the second missile reached the airplane 25 seconds later. The report quoting him didn't elaborate. He mentioned the primary missile explosion dispatched shrapnel into the airplane, possible disrupting the airplane's recorders. He didn't reveal any particulars of the cockpit dialogue that was retrieved. Representatives from the US, Ukraine, France, Canada, Britain and Sweden, nations whose residents had been killed within the crash, had been current through the course of to assemble information from the recorders, Zangena mentioned. Within the months because the downing of the airplane, Iran has struggled with the Center East's largest and deadliest outbreak of the coronavirus. The Iranian authorities can be grappling with each crushing U.S. sanctions and huge home financial issues. Final month, and preliminary report from the Iranian investigation mentioned that a misaligned missile battery, miscommunication between troops and their commanders and a choice to fire side without authorization all led to the deadly downing of the jetliner. That report mentioned the surface-to-air missile battery that focused the Boeing 737-800 had been relocated and was not correctly reoriented. These manning the missile battery couldn't talk with their command middle. They misidentified the civilian flight as a menace and opened hearth twice without getting approval from rating officers, it mentioned. Western intelligence officers and analysts consider Iran shot down the plane with a Russian-made Tor system, identified to NATO because the Sa-15. In 2007, Iran took the supply of 29 Tor M1 models from Russia beneath a contract price an estimated $700 million. The system is mounted on a tracked automobile and carries a radar and a pack of 8 missiles. The preliminary report didn't say why the Guard moved the air protection system, although that space close to the airport is believed to be dwelling to each common navy and bases of the paramilitary Guard. It additionally famous that the Ukrainian flight had completed nothing out of the peculiar up till the missile launch, with its transponder and different information being broadcast. The plane's black field flight recorder was dispatched to Paris in June. The place worldwide investigators have been analyzing it. Knowledge restoration exercise was all completed with the goal of security and stopping related incidents, Zangena mentioned, including an attraction in opposition to any political use of the method. He added that Iran's airspace is now protected and prepared for worldwide flights.